tension's unbearable.
Oh, like the first night of a major opera. Hit it.
Hi, bienvenue. Je tac, je m'appelle Walter. TAC is now 25% more Canadian and 3% more French. Anything over 3% French would be rude, so we won't do that. I thought, like everybody does, we should probably have an opening ceremony to start the day here. Okay, the Four Nations tournament in Montreal. Keith Tkachuk, an American hockey player, said he didn't like it at all. And another guy said, you play hockey for a living, you bash people's faces in, and now you're going to get your feelings hurt. Well, boo on you. How do you like it if your country was threatened to be invaded or taken over? And he said, good point. You got a good point there. Welcome to Talk. And today we're on, of course, Ukrainian Invasion Day 1088. And you could read the column in Daily Causes online, and Annie Lee's column on the illegal Russian invasion into Ukraine. Man, there was a lot of news, and I don't know where to begin, whether Canadian, Panama, or Ukraine. So let's start with the Ukraine. DUI hire Pete Hegseth. That's his name. Oh, there's my dog. Sorry, boys. Anyways, he said that there would be no American troops over, and Trump also reiterated that he didn't think Ukraine could join NATO because Putin wouldn't think it was a good idea. So it's up to Putin whether Ukraine joins NATO. Pete on Wednesday said that he didn't think. Well, he said something bad about Ukraine, and Ann will say it. Thursday, he changed his mind. And then today, Vice President Vance said that everything's still on the table. So we don't know who's running the country. Between you and me, I think it's Elon. President Zelensky of Ukraine said that there can't be any peace deal without Ukraine, as most of the NATO leaders and European countries said. Trump's his plan for a fast peace is, well, throw up the white flag. Is apparently what's happened. I like this one here. So here let me go like this. Whoops. No, I'm going to go like this. So the indigenous people of Mexico have now changed the Gulf of America's name to something I cannot pronounce, and I don't think Rodrigo's here to pronounce it. But that will be its new name, and Google's been contacted. I got this. This is really neat. Harris County Constable, they have a Valentine's Day special. And if you have an ex-Valentine that you know has warrants, or maybe they're driving drunk or have narcotics on board, this year we have a special gift for them. Give us a call with their location. We'll take care of the rest. The holiday
Yeah.
offering comes with free transportation, secure accommodations, free dinner, a professional set of photos that they'll share on their page, and a very special set of bracelets. So happy Valentine's Day. I gave my wife a poem for Valentine's Day. It was basically roses are red. I like spaghetti with meatballs. When's it going to be ready? I don't mind sleeping on the couch. I think it's quite fine. It's good for my back. Um, Canada has these pins from the 1980s during the free trade. They're going to be available for sale there. I actually like the maple leaf with the star. I think that looks kind of good. Um, this guy and oh geez, my dog. I'm sorry, boys and girls. Um, you know this guy, right, Ann?
Yeah.
Say his name. I forgot.
Oh, I
His
can't remember his name either.
Danish fellow. Anyways, he's real good. If you see his YouTube, he is very good. And
It is.
he says Trump's plan for peace negotiations is he has no plan, no political goals, leaves out Ukraine, and it won't work.
Yeah.
Uh,
Pretty much it.
Ukraine, yeah, Ukraine's plan is arm Ukraine to win, bankrupt Russia, and negotiate peace.
Yep.
Uh, that seems
I'm
to be.
all in favor of that.
Me too as well. Let me just um, switch gears here. And all this stuff is so you guys in the audience can talk, and you guys on YouTube can put comments in. This is all for discussion, so don't be afraid to speak here. Let me show you this. So Trump's plan for Ukraine was to get some minerals. However, currently, there's a lot of Chinese companies in eastern Ukraine, in Luhansk and Donetsk region, and they're building plants to get these minerals. So I'm going to suggest to you that if Trump wants minerals, he better get on it, because there won't be anything left. Oh, I've got a good one here for you. And
Question, Walter. And so then this is in China's interest that Russia maintains occupation there.
yes,
If they-
and
Yeah.
Afghanistan too. They're trying
Were
to do
these
stuff in Afghanistan, right? So
Yep.
were these recent projects, or these were established prior to the invasion?
no, these are
Yeah.
recent.
They've been going on. Well, there's a couple of new projects. Yeah. And
Well, I mean recent. They didn't have a deal with Ukraine. They made the deal with
no,
Russia, right?
right, right.
Sorry, is there more? Okay, so Chernobyl got hit, uh, and it got hit by the Russians. There's no sound to this, but
What?
Oh, it
see
was just one. It was one drone that went through the shell of the sarcophagus.
Oh
right?
my God.
The
The containment?
Chernobyl. Yeah, the containment structure. That's the hole. That's the engine of the drone. Right there. There we go.
That is insane.
Well, the Russians claim they didn't do it. It's pretty obvious they did.
We didn't do it. Yeah. Um,
I mean, and doing it, timing it at the beginning of the Munich conference is, pretty obvious. You know, it's a stunt of one kind or another.
yeah, it sure is. So what else I got? I had something for you if you just hold on. Um, well, okay, no holding on. Um, I will tell you what I think of if Ukraine's not at the table, what the worst case scenario is the fact that there'll be forced territorial concessions, and Anne can
Yes.
talk to this more. If Ukraine is pressured to give up Crimea and Donbass or other occupied regions, it would set a dangerous precedent regarding Russia's aggression and encouraging future land grabs, aka USA going after Panama, Greenland, and Canada. So, no security guarantees. If Ukraine is left without a NATO membership or a strong defense commitments, Russia could simply rearm and invade again later,
Yep.
as it would cripple its ability to defend itself and rebuild. It would also legitimize Putin's regime. If sanctions are lifted or Russia is welcomed back into the international community without accountability, it would embolden Putin and show the brute force
Mm-hmm.
works. And then you would probably also have a divided Ukraine, a deal that enforces a frozen conflict or leaves Ukraine fractured, could destabilize the country from within. Professor Tim Snyder, had a good argument. He said that if you can quote me if I'm wrong, yeah. He said something to the effect of that if the Ukraine is taken over by Russia, Russia would immediately have the strongest army in
Oh,
Europe,
yes.
you
Yes,
know,
indeed.
because Ukraine's right now are probably one of the more capable armies in in Russia and Ukraine, probably in Europe.
Yes.
So I didn't see if Adnan popped in, did he?
No, he didn't. I
Oh,
don't think so.
okay. Well, I'd like to just pass this over to you while I get a glass of water. My throat's a little dry.
Okay.
Uh,
Um,
and
well,
if you
let me
don't mind,
carry on with talking about Ukraine. Ukraine,
it's one of our favorite subjects,
well,
right?
it's the biggest war going on right now, and there uh, lots of casualties every day, and significant numbers. Um, there have been war crimes. We've had several years of war crimes, and all kinds of terrible things have gone on. I mean, just at that level. I mean, relative to the negotiations, though, it's uh, it's very ugly. It looks like Trump and Putin are trying to leverage some sort of result, or at least leverage a ceasefire, which I think is what the only thing that's going to come. I think is a ceasefire, and it's not going to. It it will appear that the lines are frozen in place, but they won't be. They won't agree to it, but they will agree. Probably what we'll get is a ceasefire because the Ukrainians the Ukrainians are tired of fighting, but they don't want to give up, the land that got taken because it's just insane to think of that. It seems though that in the long run, Crimea will probably have to go to Russia. I mean, I think they're just going to have to give up Crimea for all kinds of strategic reasons, some of which have to do with the naval base. Um, but otherwise, I mean, frankly, the Ukrainians should be able to take the whole damn thing. But it seems that for whatever reason, they haven't done any significant advances other than the into Kursk, which is slightly shrinking. They're down from, what is it, 1,300 square kilometers to 800 square kilometers now, whatever the hell it is. But then they had a recent sort of surge to the southeast, and I'm not sure what the results. There's not much reporting on that. In fact, I don't think it's sort of unresolved what's going on with the latest Ukrainian advance, and I think both sides are sort of tapering off a little bit, only because we do have this, other than, of course, attacking Chernobyl, but they've been firing off pretty much the same numbers of drones every week, with a slight acceleration at various moments. That's kind of what's going on. The same ground combat is occurring. There's been a bit of an advance by the Russians in the farther south in Donetsk, but that's pretty much it from a war point of view. I mean, it's just sad and cold and all those things.
Quick question.
I mean,
do you think?
Sure.
Oh, sorry. Do you think the munitions were slow walked to Ukraine? Do you think they could have done more? But Biden appeared to. That's the argument, that Biden slowed deliveries of munitions to Ukraine, especially the F-15 training. Do you buy that argument?
No, I don't buy that argument.
Okay,
it's yes and no. The problem is because of getting cooperation from the different EU powers. Because what the F-16s were always a transfer problem. In other words, he had to guarantee what kind of deliveries were going to occur with the F-35s. There's also a training issue for ground crews. I mean, the big deal is ground crews. You need a fair number of people to be able to handle new jets. I mean, they have different manuals. There's all kinds of crap that has to go on. I mean, you need 10 people for each jet. So it's pretty complicated. It's all logistics. I do think that it wasn't so much slow walk, is that the budget got screwed up by the Republicans. The Republicans slowed it up for about 5 months. And so a lot of things got tied up. And yeah, it could be simply that the Biden White House wasn't sufficiently convinced, and this goes back a ways, to fully commit to it. But I think that there are other issues at work, and I don't want to make excuses for it, but I think there's still this subculture or subpopulation of pro-Russian Ukrainians who are kind of still there, and this is why you have all these other little things in internal security going on. There's another thing that happened today about a bunch of folks being sort of harassed by the Ukrainian central government because they were worried about people like Poroshenko. I don't know I think Poroshenko is going to be on the side of Ukraine, but it's hard to say. I mean, I think he's eyeing, as always, I think, being the next president. And I think that's, it's that thing. It's unfortunate that there is this kind of division already automatically built into, Ukrainian culture and politics. And then, of course, there's actually very far left folks in Ukraine who, have other issues that are, problematic, and their internal government stuff is going to be very difficult. And it's unclear to me whether they're prepared to make those kinds of moves. I mean, the legislature, sort of meets, but it's unclear how much power they have in the big picture. And that's kind of where we are. The action currently this week is Munich, trying to see whether it's going to get any worse, because Trump himself said, well, the Russians lost so many troops, so they sort of should be able to keep the land they have now. I mean, what kind of it's like he wasn't even paying attention. I just I mean, it, anyone reading that in English is going to go, what the hell? Um, it's like he wasn't paying attention at all, but he isn't.
Well, he also said it was Joe Biden's fault that the Russians invaded Ukraine because he
Oh
wanted
yeah,
Ukraine in NATO. And I had a clip, but I don't have it now, of Zelensky saying there was no president ever said that Ukraine would be into NATO.
it's just
And
a crock. I mean, it's so much of a crock. I mean, ultimately it will come down, and I think historians will prove out that, you know, it, there was dithering around, and Putin had hoped that Trump would win the election. Trump didn't win the 2020 election, and therefore it was go time. He had to do it. I mean, it was just insecurity about that. Um, Everything else is just crap. I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's a resource problem, and of course, as some people claim today, the statements by Vance and by Hegseth, where it was like the Russians had written their script for them. It was really terrible. Not making any guarantees that it's just crazy stuff. As though
yeah.
the State Department had totally dropped, wasn't there. And in fact, sort of the State Department isn't there because it's now a new State Department under, little Marco. So it's
Mhm.
just, it's very depressing, actually.
It is. Do you know anything
Although,
about, oh, sorry. Do you know
no,
any,
I'm just saying, go ahead.
do you know anything about Russia's request to Elon Musk to turn over some names from USAID or USAID?
Oh, I don't know that, but I'm sure there is a subterfuge at work.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I All kinds of information is going to get cross transferred. It's just you can't trust anybody up there now. I'm sure there are people trying to protect information and stuff, and people who really know what's going on. So I think we're not going to see sort of the results. We're still in the first 100 days, and it's I think a lot of people are kind of freaked out. I think at various places, State Department, et cetera. But we
Mm.
haven't seen any mass resignations, even though they're trying to promote that in the U.S. government. It is a bad situation. Essentially, what they're doing is trying to hollow out. It's not simply just to replace them with loyalists, because that's actually a harder process. What they're trying to do is trying to clear out. It's an austerity measure, and in fact, I know no one wants to talk about it in that way, but it is a kind of austerity measure. So what they're going to do is save that money and then use that money to support the tax cuts that are going to come up. It's all insane activity.
Yeah. Meanwhile, is it measles outbreak in is it Texas?
West Texas, yeah, yeah, it's
West Texas, yeah.
pretty.
And
Go ahead.
polio in some foreign lands that USAID was
Indeed, and
distributing money.
it's. I mean, we could just go up and down the thing. I mean, there are people that the whole thing about South African aid money, that was all a kind of strange sort of kind of action to suspend stuff relative to South Africa for really spurious reasons, and of course it affects HIV treatment and aid. And I mean, not to sound conservative, I mean, I do think that there needs to be greater accountability across the board on how we do foreign aid. But
Okay.
I mean, the fact is, the U.S. is there partially because of a lot of things that don't work real well, whether it's NGOs or the UN, or there's a whole bunch of things that were kind of screwed up that go back to the Clinton era. But that's,
Hmm.
however that you want to talk about that. I mean, it's a necessary part of foreign policy, and Trump doesn't acknowledge that as foreign policy. That foreign aid is actually a tool of political power.
Yes.
And in fact, it works a lot better than some other things. And it's just weird to see all these things happen.
It is.
Sadly.
Mother Jones had an article on RFK Jr. today. He wants to send people addicted to antidepressants to government wellness farms. The farms will
wellness
reparent
farms.
the children, kind of like a Russian rescue of Ukrainian children.
Yep. Filtration. We'll have, there'll be camps.
We'll raise those kids right.
Oh, God. Unfortunately, every person who's come up, except for Matt Gaetz, is going to probably get approved. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard as the director of national intelligence. I mean, if you were talking about names suddenly flowing eastward, that could happen that way. Considering that the DNI is in charge of all the different intelligence organizations, stuff can happen, and it's just unfortunate.
Well, I really like her when she doesn't talk. She's just, she's nice that way. And then she speaks and removes all doubt.
These people parroting essentially Russian talking points. It's so weird. No one resists that and says, well, that's kind of what the Kremlin says in their propaganda broadcasts every evening. It's just so weird. On the other hand, you have people who are revealing their incompetence. P.D. Hegseth, revealed that, well, he just, for a talk show host, he's not very articulate. And so he's talking about, well, you don't shoot values. And I'm not sure how he was thinking, whether a value was sort of seen like a gun, so that you shoot values, because he was talking about procurement, or some other thing. And of course, it lends itself to wordplay, because values are certainly getting shot up these days. So that's happening.
What about Vance's? Sorry.
Go ahead.
What about Vance's tour of Poland there? So he was at
I don't know.
He was at the one of the Jewish, I think it was in Poland, Jewish Holocaust sites.
Yes, that's
him and his wife.
Right, it was.
And he actually, I thought he handled it quite well. From what he said, little. Maybe that's why.
Well, I mean, it's so easy for him to kind of stick his foot in it. Vance is still just learning. I mean, it's kind of what Kamala Harris did actually in the Biden administration. She did all those kind of things, international outreach stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, it's been a week of appeasement, a lot of tough talk, but nothing real. That's kind of what's going on.
100%. Yeah.
I think the smaller things need to have better emphasis, though. I mean, Elon Musk's kid telling Trump to shush his mouth. I mean, I found that pretty funny. Mm-hmm. And I want to see Democratic ads. The Democrats don't seem to have it in terms of making hay out of that sort of stuff. Yeah. I mean, Trump and Musk appearing together, the most amazing display. I mean, we saw who really was in charge, or that at least Trump was being kind of submissive in sort of really weird ways. So,
yeah, no, that was weird. That was 100% weird.
Although, it is all cosmetic. I mean, in the sense that the Andrew Jackson portrait that usually framed Trump's, doing his little events and podium placement in the Oval Office has now been replacing Andrew Jackson with Ronald Reagan's portrait. So there's a whole thing going on there.
Well, apparently Trump wants to pave over the Rose Garden too at the White House. Yeah, no.
Oh God, I have no idea what's going on there. I mean, after all, Melania's redesign of the Rose Garden, I don't think they modified it that much under Biden, but there's rarely images of the Rose Garden being shown, so I think they've de-emphasized that as well. Uh, I don't know. It's just troubling. I mean, stuff is still being delivered to Ukraine. What Trump is trying to do is make it more profitable for the U.S. In the sense that there's been some noise about trying to get the EU to buy more American arms relative to this sort of little gamesmanship about the minerals, about the rare earth minerals. What he wants to do is sort of seal a promise of some kind to some sort of production of minerals, and they haven't figured out what they need relative to a short list. So I think that's part of the negotiation as well. Whether it is or isn't on the table, and of course I think Zelensky's been a little coy about that, which is really important. It's just everyone's between a rock and a hard place on this. I mean, they actually withdrew some meeting that they pulled back because they didn't have all the numbers together on how to negotiate with over the rare earth metals, among other things. So, I mean, some of the variables that have been mentioned, some of the items, the talking points have been, not joining NATO for 10 years. The things that haven't been mentioned, and it's pretty clear that it's not going to happen. But, aside from what I think is there's going to be a ceasefire agreement of some kind, it won't last very long. And who knows what's going to happen after that. But the creation of demilitarized zones and bringing in the UN doesn't seem at all possible. And that's troubling as well. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But the fact is there should be some kind of peacekeeping operation that should come in to ensure that people don't constantly violate ceasefires, because that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's no different than Gaza. I mean, there's still occasional terrible things happening, and I mean, aside from Trump guaranteeing that they're going to seize Gaza, Gaza is going to become American. Well, not officially American territory, but for the duration, America will build on top of Gaza, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's the Mongol plan. The way they used to do things, if the people didn't succumb to them, they just killed them all.
Oh yeah, well,
so a removal of everybody from there, I suspect. So Hamas still has some power, though, in Gaza, right? In one of the sections.
Oh yeah.
They're still there, even after all the collapse and bombardment.
Yeah, I mean, there are presence there when they hand over hostages. So you see, sort of at least an elite that has nice, well-pressed uniforms. When they
Don't forget the care
people
packages
over.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
I'm thinking though that Trump will try and make some cash out of this, or that is, you can turn that entire tunnel network into an amusement park ride, right?
Oh yeah, Elon can have his subway through there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I mean, there's a heck of a lot of tunnels under there too. It's actually pretty interesting.
That's right. Eric Adams, can we just talk a little bit about Eric?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
So the attorney who was supposed to give him the pass on the charges, she quit, or he quit, sorry.
Yes. There's multiple resignations. It's pretty clear that what they were trying to leverage was a quid pro quo, and they were open about it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things where they didn't have to be open about it, but it was pretty clear that someone was stupid and decided to just sort of say, well, this is why we're doing this. We're doing this for this reason, and they still get mileage out of it too by this quid pro quo thing, and that there's a whole bunch of people who can replace the Southern District prosecutors. So it can still happen.
Right. And Kathy Hochul, the governor, is thinking about removing Eric. However, she might have some baggage of her own that she
Oh,
can't really do it.
yeah.
Is part of what I heard. So, um,
Yeah, I think there'll be a stalemate on that as well
right.
with Hochul. Yeah, and pretty soon she has to, I think, stand for re-election again. So there's other matters in the background. I anticipate that there'll be a wild cards running for governor of New York, aside from Andrew Cuomo, or not governor of New York. I mean, Cuomo for mayor of New York City. That's the one thing, but I'm sensing that there'll be something else. Maybe Eric Trump or uh, Don Jr. will run for, or even Ivanka will run for governor of New York. I think some stupid thing like that is going to happen coming up um, on the governor's side. The mayor's race will just be ugly because there's so many different people who,
Well, even
have.
the ex-governor, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean Cuomo, but uh, there's all kinds of people in the weeds. I think that just comes with New York. Um,
I
anyway,
have I have the letter if you want to see it.
oh yeah, sure.
And this is from Email Bove. Sorry. Danielle Sassoon.
Yes.
Received a memorandum from the acting deputy attorney general, Emil Bove, directing themselves to dismiss the indictment against Mayor Eric Adams without prejudice, subject to certain conditions which would require permission of the court. She had, I'll leave that. I don't know if you want to read that, but got quite the thing at the bottom of the letter. So you want me to be apolitical, but you're granting Adams leniency in return for politics. There was even a quid pro quo in a meeting. Then you said Damian Williams weaponized this, but he wasn't really involved. And you said in a meeting that everything was done properly. Not even Eric Adams has claimed this was weaponized. So far, both your arguments fail, Mr. Bove. And there was right at the bottom, had a really, really good line. And I don't have it. So
Oh
you
well,
guys should read the letter.
no, it was pretty scorching. I mean, the idea, of course, is that they want to keep sort of Adams on the hook. They can still reinstitute charges and stuff. And I think she's a Trump appointee, so that's a whole, people they were counting on for loyalty aren't being quite so loyal.
Right.
There probably is going to be a few more of those things, particularly on the issue of on the legal side. Unfortunately, there's all kinds of other craziness going on. I mean, the fact that um, Kash Patel may become the FBI head. I mean, the fact that he wants to go back to what Trump wanted to do in the first term, and that is eliminate or convert or move the FBI headquarters out of D.C. is
Mhm.
sort of interesting that whole meme or trope has come up again. I think what that's a front end to is whether Trump can uh, get his hotel back. If Trump doesn't get his hotel back, the new the old FBI building, that is, once they vacate it, will get converted or torn down for a new Trump hotel, which
Mhm.
is what he originally wanted to do in the first term. And he had sort of manipulated uh, um, the OAG, for that. So anyway,
I have
more
to
on the
say,
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I have to say Trump has just been brilliant as far as he's concerned, and his groupies that he's got around him coming in with the plan. Apparently and I always thought this was illegal, but he's still making money, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I mean, it is these are violations of the emollients clause, and
Yes.
I mean
Yeah.
it can be prosecuted, obviously, but he controls the Department of Justice. So Pam Bondi's not going to do it. I mean, he bought her so many years ago with a 25K a donation when he was sort of up against it
Oh, yeah.
in Florida for the Trump U stuff. So that's kind of where we are. It's I don't know. It is so frustrating that that Democrats are not quite getting it completely together. I
Right.
mean, there's no one stepping forward and saying, well, we're going to do this or that and the other thing. They did that filibuster, a kind of meaningless filibuster, but they did a filibuster um, the other night. And, good idea. I don't think it was well publicized. And they don't seem to have their act together on doing a thing that is kind of a standard procedure, is to actually show the entire filibuster besides having it on C-SPAN or something, is to give it a little bit more coverage, or at least entice the mainstream media to cover it.
Jeffries is complaining that too many liberal publications want the Democrats to do more, and that they're getting thousands of emails and telephone calls, and he
Yeah,
doesn't like it. So do you think the Democrats, their whole thing is, okay, let's just wait and see what happens instead of actually getting something done? And they're looking for podcasters, they're looking for liberal hosts to start a fire wagon instead of actually doing something themselves.
I think
Oh,
so.
please,
But
please don't email us anymore. Please, we need a rest.
well, that this is the problem that Jeffries is not like Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi was,
She knew how to kneel in the rotunda, I tell you. She
mm-hmm,
was a good kneeler with the scarf.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. uh, I mean, she really knew how to do power politics behind the scenes. She knew how to leverage people. I don't think Jeffries can do that. The new leadership team is a good leadership team, but I'm not sure they can do the kind of hardball that Nancy Pelosi did.
Are
And
they a fundraising
whatever,
team? Is that what they are?
that was part of it. I
Yeah.
think what Nancy was very careful about was the money requirements with each. She had every district down. I mean that was kind of a good thing. Uh, but on the other hand, not much is happening, or at least at the current moment. And I think it has been devastating for the Democrats to have lost this last election. And then, of course, there's still conspiracy theories out there, and I'm not sure you can, however, whatever happens.
Ooh, tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, I
Save it
know
for another show. Save it.
yeah. Well, the current one is that the Musk was somehow behind this, and
Mhm.
a variety of interpretations on that. Could be, but I think this was so pervasive that, and there were so many defections, that is, some people just didn't go to the polls.
Right.
That's what the
I
loss
think
was.
that was it. 4 million people plus the ejection. Sorry, that's one of the conspiracy theories
Yeah.
of 2 or 3 million people off the voting rolls too.
Well, that has yet to be proved. But if you
Hmm.
look at the fact that they couldn't win any one of the swing states, is my continuing shibboleth on this. It couldn't have been the case. That, I mean, it's so overwhelming in that sense.
Yeah,
It's not overwhelming. It was just it's a 250,000 margin of votes. This really wasn't a lot of votes
I hear you. I hear
in
you.
the big picture. So
Am, am I stopping you from saying something you want to
No,
say?
no, no,
I was
no.
just wondering,
No, no,
how
no.
much of the climate do you like, Ann? Do you like the climate? The
Oh
reason I
God.
ask, and Cilantro Joe, sorry, French, Coriander Joe has a slideshow for you
Oh,
in case
all
you're
right.
interested.
Let's do that.
Okay. Coriander Joe, you ready, buddy?
Excuse me, it's Joseph in Arabia now, formerly Joe in Norway. Yes, I thought maybe I'd do a photo slideshow on maybe a little positive, trying to inject a little positivity into all of the doom and gloom about the climate that everybody's so worried about. I'm not trying to understate the problem, but I am currently in Al Ain, in between in the UAE, in the United Arab Emirates, on the border of Oman, out in the middle of the desert. This little desert oasis. It's now a city of about 836,000 people.
Is that the
A couple
Forest
hours.
Kelly at the bottom there, Joe?
Yes, we're just outside of Dubai. We took a bus from Dubai for an hour and a half, I believe it takes. And it's a little different here. A lot less skyscrapers, no skyscrapers at all, and a little bit more chill. But there's one thing that stands out here that's quite amazing. Uh,
Huh.
it's probably no. It's obvious that I'm one who likes the heat. Everybody knows that. I thrive in plus 35 degrees to about 42, and can go as high as 54 C. But this region gets about 42 degrees in the summertime, a little bit higher. Um, but it's
So what part of
traditional.
positive climate message
We're
is
getting
this?
there. Patience.
42 degrees Celsius.
I'm pacing
Jesus.
myself here.
Yeah.
So, in the middle of the city and dotted around are these little oases that actually have been here for who knows how long. The irrigation system that evolved here and is still functioning, it's called an olive fage, uh, has been uh, working and still working for over 3,000 years. So this is a massive date palm forest or grove that has it's producing fruit constantly, which dates were kind of the um, the pemmican of the meadow, basically. Gives you the energy on your long trips. It's densely packed nutrients. Um, so this system it's quite a complex system that starts up in the mountains where rainwaters would come down and be collected into, let me change to the English here. So there was a mother well up towards the mountains, and then a series of smaller wells that would collect and store in aquifers, basically, man-made aquifers that would store the water and transport it down towards the oases through these tunnels. And
So
the
does
water
that
would
say
build
a
up.
falafel has 5 components up on
That
top
that's
there?
close to that.
Yeah, bun and
Alfalage. This is
Cool.
the irrigation network. You find things similar to this all across North Africa and into what was once Moorish Spain. And even today, I remember when we were in Valencia, the irrigation system, the network there is still the same ones that have been used in the Moorish era. in fact, after the Moors were conquered, the Catholics kept the engineers for 100 years or more uh, to maintain the system and transfer the technical knowledge so that they can maintain it, so that they don't starve, basically. So the water pressure builds up in the tunnel, and then it surfaces at this area called a Sharia, which I'll show you in a little bit. And then it gets distributed into this network of troughs and sluices. And the positivity I'm trying to point out here is that in the middle of a desert, in sweltering, scorching temperatures, you can have
Joe,
places.
all you think about is sex.
Like,
You're just a deviant, absolute pervert. Sex on the
get your
brain.
mind out of the gutter, Lane. We're talking about climate change. So the water comes out in quite powerful, with quite powerful pressure, and it'll go into these troughs and get distributed all throughout the groves.
Cool.
And what does it do? It fertilizes and provides life. You dirty swine.
This is one technique for harvesting the dates. To wrap them in a mesh bag to catch them as they ripen and fall.
Dates on Valentine's Day.
In addition to date palms, they've got mangoes, figs, and a couple of the pomegranates, I believe, was the other fruit that grow here as well.
Nice.
So these sluices would open up and then overflow. You can see these kind of boards that they stick in the way, and they'll release the water in one direction or another, or into the area where the trees are and flood. You can see the mounds that are built up in between the trees.
Joe, is that a bath sponge or a brick?
And Lane, this might give you flashbacks to London. This gives me flashbacks to London. At first, I was thinking it was bubblegum, bubblegum everywhere on the streets of London, but actually dates, dried mashed dates from previous times.
I thought you were going to say a pigeon poo.
So these are more of the troughs.
How old are the date trees, Joe?
I'm not exactly sure. You're going to have, could be 100 years old or more.
Yeah, that plastic looks like it could be a couple 100 years old. That's dividing there. I was going to say they should have got some Portuguese in there. That cement work would have been just tickety-boo.
I don't think they made it this far inland. They were definitely on the coast, Muscat and all along there, but
they really were that advanced.
The forest is so vast that they have a number of mosques in there. While they're working, you'd have. There's another one. And the call to prayer goes out loud and clear many times a day.
Oh, that's really, very pretty.
It is. It really looks nice.
It's super peaceful walking around. It's a little bit more humid than the dry wasteland outside, but it's peaceful. It's filled with birds chirping, especially as the sun's going down. So this area is called the Sharia. Oh, a question?
How many slave children do you think died building it?
These were the Bedo. I don't believe there would
be.
The
Bedouin? Yeah, Bedo.
Yeah.
So how much
this
cilantro
is
do you
the
think you could grow there?
oh, I would imagine it'd do quite well in the moisture
What
there.
what what's cilantro?
A coriander. Sorry.
Oh,
That would be the leafy version of the coriander seeds. And all over the place you see refuse from trimming the trees. The
you're wrong.
gardeners would walk around. Some adjustments to weaker trees. Love the cuts on this one. Just gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Okay.
one that wasn't doing so well.
All right. That looks
Just a
that's
little.
nice. Thanks for showing us that, Joe.
Yeah. All right,
You're
we're almost done here. There we
oh,
go.
there's
Final
more. Oh,
shot.
sorry. I thought we
Oh,
were winding
sorry. Well,
up.
there we go. One last shot there.
You got 2 minutes.
Let's remind
One
folks.
other thing is that they're in the pathways they had art exhibitions. So there's
A giant pair of shorts.
every once crushed red velvet shorts. A little bit of modern art for you.
Yeah, mint.
And a number of different ways to get around, mostly by feet. Scooters are allowed, bicycles, these quad bicycles, and some motorized limousine golf carts. But so I believe these techniques could be employed across the globe as things get worse. So don't fret, we'll survive. We just might not be able to live off anything except dates and coriander.
As long as we have enough children to build it. Yeah, we'll be fine.
Uh,
Thank you
you,
for your
thank
time.
you,
Thank
thank
you,
you, Joe.
Joe. You're a heck of a guy. Anne, do you got a calendar
Uh,
update
30 in
or
30
what's
minutes,
happening on the?
Twilight Zone is John, if you want to talk a little bit about what's coming up.
Yes. Well, and Walter, we have an episode called Once Upon a Time, and it stars Buster Keaton, quite a performer, going back to the silent era of film.
And a Canadian.
Was he really?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, even better. So yeah, that's the episode tonight.
No, he was an American. My bad. My bad. He
Oh,
was an
okay.
American. He just did Canadian shows. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that was right. But
Yeah.
that's all right.
Darn Buster.
So yeah, he's going to travel through time from 1890 to 1962.
You know, that's amazing because he was born in 1895.
Was Buster Keaton in Star Trek, John?
He was not.
And he was the father of Michael Keaton.
He was a relation. Excellent.
I didn't come across that one, Bruce.
Oh, Lord.
No, it's true. Believe me.
Okay.
Before we come to an end of our fun here, let's remind people that I don't think we have a movie on Saturday, although I'm thinking of doing a whole series, but that's another story. But on Sunday is Star Trek Next Generation. John, you want to at least tell us a little bit about that?
Boo, boo.
Star Trek The Next Generation. Yes, we are working our way through the first season of that show. And tomorrow, Sunday, we are going to be seeing an episode called Too Short a Season. And it's about a Starfleet admiral who wishes to conclude a peace treaty, but he has some health issues that are going to intervene.
Okie
I'm too
dokie.
short every season.
And yourself, Ann?
Uh,
What do you got coming up?
3 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays is weekly marks. Usually on Sundays, I'm now doing the in sequence chapter. We're up to chapter 9, I guess, in Karl Marx's Capital, Volume 1, the brand new Princeton edition. So we're just plodding through this. Um, anyway, that's what's coming up.
Okay. Well, I'll wind up the show if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
All
We'll
right.
try and do
So
better next week. We will try and do better next week.
it was, yeah, that's my mantra. I'll do better next time. So on Saturday at the Montreal Forum, there's Canada versus the USA in hockey. So I expect the red, white, and blue will be there as well. So Donald Trump came out with 25% tariffs on aluminum, affecting quite a few Canadian workers.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, any actors named Ryan are no longer allowed to go to the US. Ryan Gosling and the
Ryan
other
Reynolds.
Ryan as well. But Ryan Reynolds is doing a new Deadpool movie, and he's asked Tim Pool to come on, and he's going to play the character of Cesspool. So that would be
Oh
cool.
God.
That's all I got. So have fun, stay safe, and come back and see Ann and John and Joseph, Coriander Joe next week. So
Thanks, Walter.
hey, thank you very much.
Crowd goes wild.
Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Sorry, I didn't get the cue.
The cue was thanks very much.
This is the BBC.
Thanks, Walter.
Yeah.
Could you do that in
Appreciate it.
French, Walter?
Yeah.
Thanks, Walter.
See us out,
Merci
see us out in
beaucoup.
French.
Merci, Walter.
I had a bit of a panic in the middle of my presentation there.
Oh, we're not talking about bidets, are we?
Well,
the BBC.
Am I ending this thing or not?
between your heckling, Walter, and Selby trying to get into the bathroom to take a whiz, it's really getting thrown off there.
Do you always record in the bathroom, Joe?